Today we're driving the brand new Alfa Romeo Tonale. Now, while I would normally take you for a drive and do a walk around and all of that sort of thing, just bear with me. It snowed today, so it's quite cold outside. And welcome to another Greg Dennis review. So this is the Alfa Romeo Tonale, a brand new crossover C-segment SUV. So it's not part of those big SUVs, but it's your entry level into the SUV market. And this is actually the first electrified Alfa Romeo that's been released. So this Tonale is powered by a 1.5 litre turbocharged 4-cylinder petrol engine, and it's mounted to a 48 volt electric system. Now, what that means is you do not plug this car in, so it's not a plug-in hybrid, but it's just a standard hybrid. And what that means is while the car is driving and while you're braking, you are charging the batteries. And when those batteries are charged, or when they've got energy in them, what it essentially does is help you to pull off when you need acceleration, and it gives you that extra boost of kilowatts and torque. It also allows you to drive on battery power alone where the engine's completely off. But that's where I have the issue. So yes, you can drive on battery alone, completely silent with the engine off, but it's in very short distances and not very fast at all. And it doesn't really compare to the likes of a Haval Jolion HEV, where in that closed hybrid system, similar to this, you can drive up to about 50 to 60 kilometers an hour, and actually for a few minutes at that as well. Where in this car, I'm not even asking a lot of it. I'm driving on a flat road, I'm not going quickly, and I'm still driving with the petrol engine. The hybrid system hasn't kicked in. It very rarely does kick in. The only time that I do see it now, where the little EV light comes on, is when you're slowing down to go to a stop street so that you can pull off on EV alone, but I've immediately now gone to the petrol engine again. So the only times I've seen it work is when you've stopped. Obviously then the car is not idling, so you're not using petrol. The other times that it does kick in is when you're driving very slowly up your driveway, out of your driveway, and potentially through a shopping center parking lot. So when it comes to performance, this hybridized system puts out 118 kilowatts and 240 Newton meters of torque. Now you're probably thinking, Greg, that's not a lot for an Alfa. An Alfa is meant to be a sports car. It's meant to be fast, or not fast, but be a lot of fun to drive. And I'll say, yes, you're correct. That isn't a lot of power, but for the start of this hybrid motor car from Alfa, I think it's okay. This Tonale is meant to be a suburban SUV that you can drive around comfortably but still say you're driving an Alfa. But when it came to your question to me about it's supposed to be fun to drive, the answer there is yes. It's a lot of fun to drive. And what they've done really well in this car is kept the essence of Alfa. So it's dynamic, it's fun to drive. Wherever you point the steering wheel, it goes. The suspension on this car is incredible. It handles the bumps really well. It keeps the car nice and flat around corners. Like here, I'm not going fast, but I know that the car's going to handle around this bend effortlessly. And that's what makes it so much fun. And right behind the steering wheel here are paddle shifters, which are beautiful paddle shifters. They're carved out of a block of aluminium and they're mounted to the steering column. They're cold, they're icy, and it just tells you that these are proper, and they're huge. So when you need to use them or have a lot more fun, you click the drive mode button, which is DNA, into dynamic, and now everything in the car starts to stiffen up. The suspension becomes a bit firmer, the steering starts to get tightened, and the accelerator becomes a lot more responsive. So now it becomes fun. And to use the paddle shifters, you knock that into manual and off you go. Is a 7-speed dual clutch, which is really nice. It's quite fast and effective. If I drop down here, it does that. When I ask for it to change the gear, it does that with a very satisfying, quiet little click. It's really nice. Drop a gear and go. Accelerate. So this car might not be fast, but it's got enough power, enough agility, and enough elements of dynamicism, you heard that here first, to still be a proper Alfa. And I think they've done a good job at that. So to speak a little bit more about the drive modes down here, they are labeled as DNA, which is what you'll find in most modern day Alfas. You'll find the same system. And the D is for dynamic, the N is for natural, and the A is for advanced efficiency. So for the D, that's when you want to have a little bit of fun, where you want the car to be a little bit more responsive and to be more agile and dynamic. And then the N is for natural, so that's where you're going to find your most normal driving situation, where you'll probably be in most of the time, where you've got a little bit of kick, but it's also not too laggy. And then the A is for advanced efficiency. Is it now raining or is it snowing? I don't know. Sorry. So yes, the A is for the advanced efficiency. So that's what's now going to benefit your hybrid system more. So you're going to find that the car's going to be a little bit more slower to pull off. It might pop into the EV system a little bit more, but there isn't really a compromise there, because where you want this to be more hybrid, the A in DNA kind of makes this car very sluggish. So while they've kept the essence of Alfa Romeo in the driving dynamics, what else they've done is kept the essence of Alfa and beautiful Italian design on the exterior and the interior. The outside of this Alfa Romeo Tonale looks incredible. I love the shape of it, I love the design, I love the lines. It's everything you expect from pure Italian design. And I think that they've definitely not dropped the ball in that aspect. Up front, you've got these tri-LED daytime running lights that are matched at the back. They look really cool. The lights in the rear also join each other, so it forms like a light bar across the back, which makes the car look really aggressive at night, a lot wider, and it really gives it a lot of road presence. It looks awesome. You've also got the famous tri-grills up at the front and the infamous Alfa Romeo grille too. And in this Veloce spec, the grille and other accents around the car are also darkened, so it makes it look a lot more sportier than the normal one, which is actually quite nice. And then speaking a bit more about the Veloce spec, you do get these paddle shifters, as I mentioned. You get the darker trim. You also get the bigger 19-inch wheels, which look really, really slick. But this particular model has got the upgraded 20-inch wheels, and those look damn cool. The ride quality on these bigger wheels is also quite impressive. I haven't actually noticed that the car's been too bumpy or handled the imperfections in the road any differently than what a smaller wheel would. So I think the 20 is the option to take. And just to remind you that this Alfa Romeo is Italian, they've left little Italian flags all the way around the car. So on the side mirrors, you'll find there's a little Italian flag, and down here on the center console, they've dropped another Italian flag. They're very proud of it. So where I feel that the hybrid system really should be addressing the fuel consumption in this car, I don't think it really is. And I'm battling to get the system to change from kilometers per liter to liters per kilometer. But regardless, I'm currently getting 12.3 kilometers per liter. I think on a hybrid system like this, matched to a 1.5 liter, it should be a lot better. But I just feel that there's a little bit more work that could go into this hybrid system to make it really good. And then around the back, you'll find that you do have a power tailgate, which you can also operate from the key. And speaking about the key, it's also a really nice key. It's got a bit of weight to it. It's not like these other keys on the market that feel light and like a little toy that you're going to lose. There's a bit of weight to it. It's got some aluminium pieces to it, so it feels like it's really good quality. Continuing with a look at the back, you'll see that they are not exhausts, but they've made it look like there are exhaust pipes at the back there, but they aren't. But because it's a hybrid, I guess that's the right move they need to make. I do know that on the plug-in hybrid systems, you do actually get a sports exhaust with tailpipes at the back, but not here. And then having a look at the interior, it is really beautiful in here. Right in the center, you've got a huge digital infotainment screen where you can access all of your car settings, as well as connect your phone for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And if you love listening to music through that, you'll be pleasantly surprised that there is a Harman Kardon audio system in this car, and it sounds really good. And in front of the driver, you've got another digital display where you can see your speed and your revs. You can also change what you see in the sensor. So if you want to see more of your hybrid system, if the battery is being charged, if the energy is being used, you can change it to your maps, you can see your multimedia. It's quite configurable, which is quite cool. And then the steering wheel, what connects the driver to the Alfa Romeo. And you can see that they've put a lot of thought and design into the steering wheel because they've made it very comfortable. They've used really nice soft leather. They've made the button placements also very natural, so you aren't struggling to access the buttons while you're driving. The only downfall I have of it is that while all the buttons light up at night, there are some that don't, and that's part of your cruise control. So that's, you know, when you're setting your cruise control and changing the speed up or down and that sort of thing, that doesn't light up, so that's black, which I obviously struggled with at the beginning, but then I got used to it, so I guess it's okay. What else is cool here is that you've got your start stop button on the steering wheel, so it does give it that Italian sports car feeling in here. And when you get into the car, all you have to do is hold your steering wheel and press start. Down below the infotainment screen, you've also got some shortcut buttons here for your climate control, which is quite handy to have. And below that, you've got some storage, which you can also use to charge your phone with. And it's quite cool. It's at an angle and your phone lies flat down there, so you can also still see your phone. If anything pops up on it, it's not too distracting, but it's a nice layout. And then you've obviously got your 7-speed dual clutch transmission over here. You've got a volume dial here for your passengers, so it's not built into the screen, which is quite nice. You've got 2 cup holders and some storage underneath the armrest that can slide forward for added comfort. The seats are also really comfortable. They are wrapped in full leather, and you do have Alfa Romeo badges up in the headrest, which is a nice touch. They are also heated and ventilated, which in this weather today where it's been snowing and there was 0 degrees at one stage, these came in very handy. You'll notice there isn't a sunroof, there's no panoramic roof in this either, which is a little bit of a downfall. I would have loved to have had that, but space in the back is also okay. I do sit quite comfortably in the back there. My legs are actually up against the seat here, so it's a bit of a tight squeeze, but the back seats themselves are quite comfortable. They're also full leather, and you've got an armrest in the center for cups too. Quite a nice pleasant place for your passengers to be in. The boot is decently sized, you can fit quite a bit of stuff in the back there, but what you'll notice is there isn't a spare wheel. Again, this is South Africa. That should be a must in most cars, and I know these hybrid systems have got battery packs and they take up the much needed room that what you would need for an extra wheel, but unfortunately it's not in here. So we do find that in South Africa we do get stuck quite often. To add a little bit more about the interior Italian design, what I like about it is they haven't made the interior boring. So while yes, all cars have got center displays and all cars might have shortcut buttons and all of them have got vents for the air cons, it's just the layout that sets this apart for me. You've got different levels of layouts to this dashboard. You've got soft touch materials at the top here. You've then got this aluminium looking styling in between the two. You've then got this leather type of material just in front here where you would touch. It's a really nice cabin to be in, and they've given the driver display little hoods up top here too. So it makes it very engaging and a really nice interior to sit in. I'm very impressed. This car's also got some cool safety features, and it's another one of those cars that has got a really good adaptive cruise control and lane centering system. So while you're driving on the highway, you set your speed, you can also set the distance that you want the car in front of you to be in, and you just sit comfortably. The car will speed you up, the car will slow you down. If you change lanes, it'll go back up to the speed that you set it at. Whereas other cars, you'll find that this adaptive cruise control is actually quite harsh. So it'll slow you down quite drastically and then speed you up again. It doesn't keep the speed gradual and keep you going like you would do when you're driving naturally. So it's a really good system in here. You've also got a very crisp 360-degree camera system set up over here, which comes in handy a lot. You've got lane keep assist, as I mentioned, the adaptive cruise control. You've got rear cross traffic alert, so if you're reversing and it detects a car coming, it'll tell you, as well as blind spot monitoring. And then there's the pricing. So this Tonale comes in 3 trim levels: the TI, the Speciale, and the Veloce. The TI, which is your entry level into the Tonale range, sells for about 755,000 Rand. And then one up from that is your Speciale, which sells for 815,000, where you start getting a lot more of the extra tech, the bigger wheels and that sort of thing. And then you get the top tier Veloce, which sells for 835,000 Rand, where you're getting the aluminium paddle shifters, you're getting all the leather, you're getting the bigger wheels, you're getting the darkened trim on the outside. So it really does look top of the range. The Veloce is probably the one to get. It looks really, really good. And now it's time for the GDR test, the verdict. So should you get the car? Should you go drive the car? Or should you remove the car from the list of cars that you're looking at? Now, I would recommend that you go and drive the car. If you're in the market for a compact SUV that stands out, it's got a lot of character, it's Italian, you're not going to see a lot of them on the road, then this is probably the one to go for. So go drive it, go see if this hybrid system is something that you enjoy. It might be. But for me, I would probably go and choose the Nissan Qashqai. The top of the range Qashqai is still cheaper than the entry level Tonale, and I understand it's not an Italian car, but the new Qashqai is still really, really good. So thanks for watching another Greg Dennis review. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm sorry I wasn't able to do a proper walk around, but please just understand that I didn't want to get frostbite. If you did enjoy this, then please really drop a like below. And if you want to see more videos like this, then make sure that you're subscribed. I know you'll enjoy them. And until then, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.